My name is Ashlyn Luisi, and today I will be responding to Nicholas. Thank you, Nicholas, for your argument. I would like to initially respond by clarifying what is actually at stake when we're discussing the United States pressuring Denmark regarding Greenland, and whether said pressure is necessarily illegitimate or destabilizing. First off, you emphasize Greenland's right to self-determination. I absolutely agree that self-determination is a core principle of international law. However, it is very important to distinguish between annexation by force and negotiated political change. Recognizing self-determination does not prohibit dialogue, negotiation, or even economic discussions between sovereign states. It prohibits coercive takeover and unlawful aggression. If Greenland's population were to ever choose to integrate closer to the United States through lawful and diplomatic means, international law would not forbid that chain of action. Self-determination protects the ability to choose, it doesn't prohibit it. Second, you argue that pressuring Denmark could fracture NATO unity and embolden adversaries such as Russia or China. Alliance cohesion is undeniably important. However, national security strategy must also account for emerging threats. The Arctic is rapidly becoming one of the most strategically significant regions in the world. Russia has expanded its Arctic military infrastructure, reopened Cold War era bases, and increased submarine patrols in the area. China has declared itself a near Arctic state and is investing heavily in Arctic infrastructure and rare earth mineral access. In that context, Greenland is not merely a symbolic territory, it is a geographic asset central to missile defense, early warning systems, Arctic shipping routes, and resource security. The United States already operates militarily in Greenland, but basing agreements are political arrangements that can evolve. They are not the same as sovereign control or permanently secured access. From a national security standpoint, certainty matters. Strategic defense planning depends on long-term predictability. Ownership or significantly expanded authority would provide greater infrastructure to autonomy and reduce vulnerability to future political shifts. Whether one supports that outcome is a separate question from whether it carries strategic value, and clearly it does. You also suggested that applying pressure is inherently coercive and destabilizing, but pressure exists on a spectrum. Diplomatic bargaining, economic incentives, and strategic negotiation are routine tools of statecraft. They are lawful when conducted within international boundaries. The key distinction is between unlawful force and lawful negotiation. To treat all forms of pressure as aggression oversimplifies international politics as a whole. States routinely pursue strategic interests through leverage. That reality doesn't automatically violate sovereignty. Regarding Greenland's welfare system and quality of life concerns, those are legitimate considerations. Greenland benefits from Denmark's welfare model, including healthcare and education structures that differ vastly from those in the United States. However, any potential political transition would involve negotiation, autonomy arrangements, and legal guarantees. Greenland already maintains substantial, self-governing authority within the Kingdom of Denmark. It is not unreasonable to assume that social protections could be preserved under a negotiated framework. Strategic decisions do not necessarily require dismantling domestic institutions. Most importantly, this debate must be grounded in long-term security realities. The Arctic is transforming due to climate change, new shipping lanes are emerging, and critical rare earth minerals that are essential for defense manufacturing are increasingly valuable. The United States currently relies heavily on foreign supply chains, particularly from China, for said materials. Securing diversified access is not expansionism for its own sake, it's economic and defense resilience. To be clear, this is not an argument for military force or unlawful annexation. Any forceful takeover would undermine international law and alliance credibility. However, defining that the United States should refrain entirely from pursuing stronger influence in Greenland ignores strategic competition already happening there. Great power rivalry has returned, and geography once again plays a decisive role. Self-determination matters, alliance stability matters, but national security foresight also matters. Greenland occupies a uniquely strategic position in Arctic defense architecture and future economic competition. The question is not whether Greenland has rights, which it does. The question is whether the United States is inherently wrong to pursue expanded lawful influence in a region that is so critical to homeland defense and long-term security. That issue is far more complex than framing pressure as automatically irresponsible. Strategic engagement, when conducted within legal boundaries, is not destabilizing. In a rapidly shifting Arctic landscape, it may be the best chance that democracy has. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of your evening.